Switching from a sleeping bag to a quilt is not necessary to be ultralight, but it is very useful. In this video, I'll explain why it's a good idea to give quilts a try and address some concerns that may get in the way of exploring this unique piece of gear. And just for fun, I'll even demonstrate how a quilt works. Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm here to help you transition to ultralight backpacking. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. And thanks for watching. There is no other single item on your gear list that is more idiosyncratic than your sleeping bag. We all have individual quirks in how we like to sleep, and the quality of sleep is such an important factor in the overall enjoyment of camping that people are naturally passionate about the topic of their sleep system and very reluctant to try anything other than what has worked in the past. My goal in this video is not necessarily to convince anyone that they must try a quilt, but just to explain why quilts are a viable alternative and something worth trying. I personally came into the world of quilts kicking and screaming. As I was attempting to lighten my load, the first sleeping bag I tried was the Z-Packs model, which was designed as an attempt to strike a middle ground between a sleeping bag and a quilt for people like me who were afraid to jump completely to a quilt. It weighed 21 ounces, had a full-length zipper with no draft tube along the length because you were supposed to sleep with the zipper underneath, and there was no hood. Since it was designed to be used open most of the time, when fully zipped, I found it to be confining and uncomfortable. I used the bag on a 7-day hike and was cold most of the nights, even though it was in August. So at the end of that trip, I sold the Z-Packs bag. Now, for some context, I should explain that there are warm sleepers and cold sleepers, and I am the wimp of all wimps when it comes to being a cold sleeper. My old sleeping bag, the Kelty Quasar, actually weighed 3 pounds and 11 ounces and had a 0-degree temperature rating, and I considered that a 3-season bag, including summers. In addition to that, my preferred sleeping style is what I call the can opener, on my side with one leg raised. There couldn't be a worse posture for being comfortable in a mummy-shaped sleeping bag. And with my old bag, sleeping in that position caused the insulation covering my backside to compress, and so every night was a choice between a bad night's sleep or a cold bum. The next bag I found seemed to solve these problems. It was the Ultralight by Western Mountaineering, which weighs 29 ounces for the tall version. It has a very wide cut and so was roomy for a side sleeper, and one of the best bags I have ever held, so I really wanted it to work. Unfortunately, it was only rated to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and that same roominess made it way too cold for me, so that bag had to go too. I should mention, though, that Western Mountaineering makes a lot of styles and temperature ratings, so if you do decide to stay with a sleeping bag, I strongly recommend either Western Mountaineering or Feathered Friends for options that are both extremely light and very well made. The major downside is that they are uber expensive, particularly for the lower temperature ratings. Granted, if well taken care of, they can last forever, but it's still painful to fork over that massive initial payment. That's where a quilt comes in. I finally decided to take the leap and try an actual quilt, and I've never looked back. Now, the version I went with is the Enigma by Enlightened Equipment with a 10-degree Fahrenheit rating. I got the wide and long model, which weighs 24 ounces. The Enigma has a sewn footbox that you can see here, but there's another version called the Revelation that has a short zippered footbox just across here, so you can open it up and lay it out completely flat. Now, where I do most of my hiking, the nighttime temps are typically between 35 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit, so I would never use the quilt open, and that's why the sewn footbox works better for me. The use of a quilt illustrates two fundamental strategies of ultralight backpacking. First, don't carry anything you don't need, and second, whenever possible, to have gear serve multiple uses. A quilt is basically a sleeping bag minus two things, the back and the hood. And the thinking is that when you are laying on a sleeping pad, the part underneath the body has the insulation compressed and therefore isn't doing any good. Compressed insulation doesn't hold in heat, and there's no cushioning benefit either. So we can just get rid of the back side because it's not needed, which also means that we don't have the weight of a zipper. Now, no zipper means no zipper to fail, and who hasn't struggled with the nightmare of a stuck zipper on a sleeping bag? The hood also is unnecessary because everyone carries a puffy layer, whether it's a coat or a pullover, and either that has a hood or you take a fleece or wool hat or both. So if you just wear that puffy to sleep in or the hat, that serves the same function as the hood on the sleeping bag. That's the multiple use part. There's no reason to carry both a hood on the puffy and a hood on the sleeping bag. So losing the back and the hood makes quilts lighter, and this is one case in which lighter is actually more comfortable. Especially for a side sleeper like me, I can lay out with one leg raised up and not be constricted at all. Since there's less material involved, quilts also tend to be cheaper than the better sleeping bags. My 10-degree Enigma currently is priced at $355, whereas one of the most popular bags from Western mountaineering, the Ultralight, costs $585 and is only rated to 20 degrees Fahrenheit and weighs 32 ounces, 8 ounces more than the Enigma. Incidentally, I priced my old Kelty bag too, and it's currently going for $370. So the Enigma is not only over 2 pounds lighter, it's actually $15 cheaper. Again, demonstrating that ultralight doesn't have to be more expensive. Another benefit of less material is that quilts can be compressed into a smaller package than sleeping bags, and you'll see how important that becomes when we talk in a future video about ultralight backpacks. So a quilt is lighter, cheaper, and more comfortable, but what about the potential problems? Well, the number one concern on everybody's mind when thinking of a quilt is worrying about drafts. And just generally, will I be warm enough? That's why I wanted to show you how the straps work on this quilt to provide some reassurance that you can be just fine with a quilt. The Enlightened Equipment quilt comes with 2 elastic straps, and they have buckles on them. And so the first one is a pad attachment, and that's the lower strap, and you just slip it on over the pad. I usually just leave it on the pad. This particular pad is Thermarest X Therm. It's the long, so it's 77 inches long, and it just works out good for me to leave it in the middle. That then when I fold it up and pack it in the pack, it's not in the way, and I always know where it is. And then the second one is the upper strap that goes around the back. And so I attach the left one first because I'm right-handed, and so hopefully I can get in this without too much trouble. And then the second pad just wraps around, attaches like that. I forgot to do the first one. And there we are. Most nights I'm able to sleep just like this without any further cinching up. And the person just naturally tucks in, and that works pretty well for me. As you adjust throughout the night, just naturally turn and tuck in, so it's not really a problem at all, and there's lots of room so you don't feel cramped. Now there are 2 additional ways to cinch this up more. It helps to have a cat along to snuggle up with you, but you can also attach these snaps, that one snap at the top around the neck, and then there is also a cinch to cinch around the neck. And my one complaint with the Enlightened Equipment quilt is that this neck cord comes out of the middle of the front. There we go. And that tends to lay in my face, but because I don't like that, I just snipped a little hole about quarter way in on the side, and snake the cord through that, and that fixed that problem for me. So as you can see, a person can get pretty nice and snuggled in and not have any troubles staying warm. So that is how the Lightning Equipment quilt attaches to the pad. I've been very happy with my quilt from Enlighten Equipment, but I do want to mention two other companies that also make great quilts, Katabatic and Nunatak, and I'll put links to both of those companies in the description. Both of them make quilts that are a bit higher quality than the Enlighten Equipment, but are also over $100 more expensive. I've been reading that Enlighten Equipment has been criticized for having rather optimistic temperature ratings, and so about a year ago they increased the amount of downfill in their quilts. Unfortunately, that was after I got mine, so although I'm really in no hurry to switch, it's likely that my next big purchase will be a quilt from Katabatic or Nunatak, and if you have the extra cash, you might want to just go straight to those companies. But if not, I can still confidently give 2 thumbs up to Enlighten Equipment. Now, before I wrap up, I also want to mention a couple of important strategies that will make a big difference for my fellow cold sleepers. First, always eat a big meal in the evening, preferably something with oil in it. I like to take some summer sausage and Kojak cheese for the first night out, and after that, some type of greasy junk food like Fritos or Cheez-It crackers. That oily food is the fuel in your body, and it will burn through the night, making a big difference in staying warm. Second is site selection of where you camp matters a lot. Human beings are naturally drawn to water since we need it for survival, but when you camp by a lake, during the night the cold air sinks into that basin, and since warm air rises, cold air collects in the valleys, and the lake shore is going to be several degrees colder than if you just moved uphill. It doesn't have to be very far, just 30 or 40 feet in elevation will increase the temperature by 5 or 10 degrees or more, depending on conditions. So even though the campsite by the lake seems more attractive, you'll be warmer just a little bit higher up. And that will also decrease the vegetation damage from site overuse by the water. A third factor that makes a significant difference in warmth retention is the sleeping pad. And we'll talk all about those in the next video. So please consider subscribing so that you can learn about what pad to choose that will be both comfortable and lightweight. But that's all for now, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.